I've got to get like a 7 a.m. train and stuff like this. I just thought this is not the life that I want to lead. And in a true unprofessional manner, I left my job that evening. I just sent an email like, I'm so sorry, I can't do this anymore. I can't come to the meeting tomorrow. I just need to look after myself and put myself first. But it took me to get to that point of not being able to move forward. I realised it was time to start looking after myself, which is scary when you think about it. Long term, it's done more damage than good because I sort of worked myself into the ground.
Welcome, Space by Stansons. We're actually back in the studio of Stansons, so in a new space today. And on my mission to make these podcasts much more casual, and whenever I'm in the coffee shop before, I'm always having such like really gold dust data, like chats. I want to try and bring that more, so hence the casual setup. Today, though, I'm really excited. I've never had a conversation like this with any of my podcast guests. This is David Jackson, design manager at British Land, Storey, their co-working brand. And I'm going to like really dig in to burnout because it's something that we all experience. No one really wants to talk about it like properly, honestly, especially for guys, men, whatever. Like I think we think we're too cool to have burnout. So me included. So yeah, I want to really dig in. Got some questions about it all, and his story is phenomenal, and he's come out like really strong on the other side of it. So, David, thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No, it's really exciting. So, yeah, thanks for coming over. Like I've kind of introduced, really, I followed your story about burnout, and you were quite public on it on LinkedIn, which I found really like heartwarming, and I was really grateful to you for doing it because I do think, as much as we try and be like, it's okay to not be okay, I don't think it is. Like, I just don't think it is. I don't think you can turn around and say to someone, I'm not okay, and then be like, oh, that's fine, don't worry, take a break. I mean, in my experience, I haven't really seen that happening. So, yeah, I'd love to like pick your brains. Like I guess when kicking off, like burnout and the signs of it, when did you realise that you were having burnout?
I don't think I did at the time. I think like our last conversation, I think it was more in hindsight that I realised. When I first, if I knew I was having it, when I first experienced it was Christmas, not the one just gone, the one before. Yeah. When I left my last full-time job before this one.
Yeah.
I think I've got the years right. And in terms of, just, it wasn't me making a sort of decision to stop and walk away. It was more that I remember I was working really late one night, and it might have been like 2 a.m, something like that. And I was meant to be going down to London the next morning because I was living in Sheffield at the time.
Yeah.
And my body just stopped. I was just like, I physically can't do any more work because I was, trying to get a pitch in for the next morning, which I'd started that evening. My body told me, I guess, that was enough. I remember my mum came up. Well, I'd like shouted down, and she was like, what's going on? I was like, I just can't do any more work. I can't go to London tomorrow. I can't, do any of this stuff. And she's like, okay, why don't you just leave it, where it is, and see how you feel in the morning. I was like, no, I've got to get like a 7 a.m. train and stuff like this. And I just thought, you know what, this is not the life that I want to lead. And in a true unprofessional manner, I left my job that evening. I just sent an email. I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't do this anymore. I can't come to the meeting tomorrow. I just need to just look after myself and put myself first. But it took me to get to that point of not being able to move forward that I realised it was time to start looking after myself, which is scary when you think about it. And I think long term it's done more damage than good because I sort of, worked myself into the ground. It's very easy for me to get back into that sort of pushing myself, but I think we'll get on to later. Like I can recognise it a bit better now. So
okay, that's really just to like fill in really, I guess, for me and I guess anyone listening. But what was your job entailing? Like, what did it involve at that time for you to then be doing a pitch so early in the morning? I was going to say late at night, but I'm going with early in the morning. Like, why the hell were you doing that?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think it was that job specifically. I think it was a build-up of things over the previous year that got to that point. So I had my own business for 4 years before then, which has its own stresses, especially starting it as COVID started and being a workplace design fit-out company. Everyone was at home indefinitely. I was like, what have I done here? But we made some really good relationships. Started the business with £100. Didn't have any loans or support or investment. And to grow up to where it was, I was really happy with that. But it did have like a negative impact on my life outside of work. So I was just putting everything into it. Had some changes in my personal life. So me and my partner at the time separated in that summer.
Of COVID.
Sorry, summer of the year I'm referring to as the lead up to burnout. And it was very amicable, but it left me with some sort of extra responsibilities, like having the flat to myself and the dog and stuff like that. Then lost a very key client to the business, and that I'd sort of put all my eggs in one basket for that. So then I was like, there's nothing coming in. I probably need to get a job now. And I went to work for a job. I really liked the people there. Not sure, maybe I wasn't the right fit for the job. And I was traveling around a lot, working weekends and late nights, like on site, quite a lot. And they made some changes to the business, and I was made redundant in November of that year. And I think I put a post on LinkedIn around that time, like, look, I just need some help from someone. Can someone help me find a job, basically? And I've always been very honest on LinkedIn. That was part of my business brand, was just being, not AI generated captions and stuff like that. Not to, disrespect anything, but
it's refreshing.
I was just, very honest about it. Had a few really good chats, and I took a job, and it was with a fairly new company, and they had always outsourced design. But I said I'd join if I could just have a bit of time to go on a quick holiday or something like that. But there was a bit of a backlog of design when I started, and they had one key client which was very demanding, and it didn't really give enough time to do the work for other pitches. Hence why I was sort of working late that night. Maybe in hindsight I could have managed my time better or pushed back a bit more, but it was just the nature of that job, and they're a busy startup, so that's how it was. And I've completely forgot your question.
No, I was just saying, what did your job entail? What was that? What did the day look like for you, really?
Yeah, so that one, I was on site probably 3 days a week, but also staying in a hotel, literally like a motorway hotel near the site.
What, in London?
It was Midlands, that particular one. So I was sort of disconnected from family, friends, dog, as you've probably seen on LinkedIn. And I think I just lost sort of my way a little bit with that. And I think that then affected my work. I think I was maybe more, agitated and irritable about things at work, but just kept, throwing myself into it. And, I left them in a pretty bad position by leaving at that, that time of night before a pitch. I mean, I had done a fair amount of it, but, I just couldn't do anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a brave thing to do, and it's not the wrong thing to do, is it? It's just about recognising that. So I think that's what's so hard for people. What does that when you say that you physically couldn't do anything, what did that like actually feel like in your body?
Trying to describe it, it's hard. I've never felt like anything like that before. Before that, I'd felt like I was burnt out at different points in my life, or I had experienced burnout. I'd never experienced that level of it. And I don't know if it was like, like an anxiety attack or something like that, but I wasn't hyperventilating or anything, those sorts of more physical symptoms. It was I just froze, and it's really hard to explain it. I feel like I tried to continue, but like I was not able to think of what to type, and even if I was trying, I just needed to get to bed basically. And I think I slept pretty much for like 3 days after that, apart from my dad waking me up at 5 a.m. to check I was all right. I was like, thanks, but
perfect timing.
Thanks, man.
5 a.m. Yeah. Couldn't have made it 4. Oh dear. But no, that's real though, man. That's like, and they say that whenever you are ill or whatever, it's your body talking to you.
Yeah.
Think about that, it's your body talking to you. It's a good thing you listened, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? I guess she didn't give you a choice.
Yeah, there probably was signs before that. I think I just was ignoring them.
What do you think they were in hindsight?
Just short-tempered, tired all the time. My body was aching. My body aches quite a lot anyway, so...
You're ready to discuss this.
My posture's terrible.
Yeah, sorry, the seats aren't the best, are they?
Sorry. But yeah, so just things like that. But the issue, and also why I didn't really realise it until afterwards, was a lot of the symptoms you get are symptoms of other, illnesses and ailments and stuff, like depression or just stress, or, well, not just stress, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's quite hard to identify burnout as a singular cause. And I think it does overlap in, other things.
Because I've read about it that one of the signs of burnout is like actually you're checking your phone really often. And I'm like, that's so interesting, because I think I do that. I just check my phone really often, but does that mean I'm burnt out, or just like addicted to my phone, or like, do you know what I mean?
Could be both, yeah.
But it's just like, like,
is that like a procrastinating thing? Or?
I think it's like this like obsession with making sure you're on top of something. Like, I just check your emails. Wake up and you check your emails, and like, I don't know, like making sure your messages are all up to date and everything like that. Like almost like, but actually like not really actioning anything. Like almost just looking, but kind of procrastination, not actually really doing anything. Which it's like when I read that, I was like, that's a funny symptom. And when you start thinking down those lines, it's not just physically crashing, like which you had and froze, but like all the things that might happen before that. Maybe constantly getting ill, like flu, like just regular cold, and all that like regular stuff that can be passed as manoeuvring around London, for example, in the tube. It can actually all be signs, right? And it's interesting what you experienced though, like kind of temper, anxiety, tired, aching body. It's all like stuff that I guess happens to a lot of people, and it's filtering out.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to identify, and I think it's probably not something you can go through life and think that is a symptom of burnout. I think you just have to be proactive in being more careful about your mental health and stuff like that to avoid it, rather than actioning it directly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does. Yeah, it's like loads of little pillars, isn't it? It's a bit like how it manifests itself in lots of different pillars. You need to rectify in lots of different ways. So you then went, like after you slept for 3 days, but at some point then you went travelling?
Yeah, so it's quite close to Christmas, so I had Christmas. And then I can't remember what I did over New Year's in January, but I was just thinking, what should I do next? I was considering getting a job, up in Sheffield, because I'd moved back a few months before because of, all the changes in my personal life. And I think I remember looking at South America and being like, I can't be bothered to go on an 18-hour coach between places. So then I was like, okay, Central America, I don't really know a lot about it. I'll have a look. Found some blogs that, you know, did example trips through it and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this sounds really good, actually. I quite fancy that. And I had a camper van. So I bought a camper van a few years before, and I sold that. Wasn't an amazing camper van, didn't sell for very much, but it funded my...
I started asking all about that, because I want a camper van.
Yeah.
But carry on.
It funded my trip. And I think it was... So my birthday's in January. It was a few days after my birthday. And I saw a flight to Cancun. And I was never really interested in Mexico. I was like, okay, it's a place to get into, Central America. Loved it anyway. It was 200 quid. And it was for the following week. So I was like, oh, I'll just go.
So the plan was just to go for 2 weeks? For a week?
No, so the flight was a week from that day I was looking.
Yeah, I see.
So, yeah, I just decided to go. And I sort of planned the first maybe month or so, like booked myself into places, just to get into the swing of it, I guess. And then when I got to that point, I would just organise my next 2 weeks. And I think I did just under 4 months in the end. Yeah.
And then that solo?
Solo, yeah. Met people along the way, obviously, but yeah. Solo, yeah.
And recommend it?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Is it all that it's cracked out to be?
Yeah, it's probably my favourite trip I've been on, yeah.
Wicked.
It's just so, I want to use the word raw. It's just like a very raw experience. There is obviously, you know, touristy areas and stuff like that, but yeah, it's just beautiful place.
Cancun in particular?
Just Central America, yeah. Okay. Cancun, I was actually only there a couple of nights, but I did stay in Mexico for about a week. That was really nice. Worked my way all the way down to Costa Rica and then flew back.
And so that's about 4 months?
Yeah.
And was there a point in that 4 months where you like kind of had a mindset shift, or maybe now was starting to realise that you had burnout or anything like that? Was there any like significant moments in that 4 months?
Yes, and I will say this first, that I don't think the trip helped, as in like, it wasn't me going away to try and find myself or anything like that. It was very much me running away from my issues. So I still had some work to do when I got back on myself. I took a journal with me, so I journaled every day. It was mainly to like just remember what I'd done.
Yeah.
But what I found after the first couple of weeks is I'd be thinking about something while I was writing, and then I'd just basically word vomit all of these thoughts about, you know, what had gone on and how I was feeling and stuff like that, and that really helped. And I think maybe about a month and a half in, got to Honduras and really want to do my open water diving, because I've never done it before. And I've always been a little bit scared of the sea. So, okay, I'll push myself to do this. And I remember there was a moment, it's going to sound like so cliche and like, you know, movie style sort of stuff, but the day that you are able to go down to 20 metres, we were all sort of, I don't know what you would call it, I guess just swimming along this reef that was like 6 meters.
Swimming.
Yeah, swimming, flippering or whatever.
Snorkeling.
Yeah, we're 6 meters down, and then we were going to go off the edge of the reef to descend down another 12 meters. And you're meant to sort of like, just like, you're almost like in a standing, like vertical position and get down. For some reason I went down backwards with a tank on my back. I couldn't turn around. But it was really nice. And there's the moment I was just like, it feels like I'm flying. And like, why am I even bothered about all this other stuff? This is so amazing. I'm having this, because the trip leading up to there, I was having a good time, but I was still having thoughts like every day of, you know, how bad things had been before. But that was the moment where I was like, right, I'm going to actually enjoy my trip now. So like full of endorphins when I got out of the water as well, and it was amazing. And then that was the turning point.
And you just realised that you were not gonna you're going to focus on positives and move, like you had a paradigm shift.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was that moment in isolation. I think I was just having a really good week, and met so many amazing people, and just didn't. I don't think I thought about it for the rest of the trip.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, so the rest of the time.
Yeah, I did when I got back.
Yeah.
Tried my best. Yeah.
What was the hardest thing about coming back?
Not knowing what to do really in terms of work, and I was staying with my parents at the time. Wanted to move out, but couldn't really find a job.
Watch out! Smash a glass. Why not? Why did
they made me jump.
That's what I'm trying to
do. There was loads of hard stuff. I mean, it was obviously an adjustment. I felt ready to come back.
You did? Did you want it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd run out of money. So
stuff. So was it more that you ran out of money, or you did want it?
It was. I was always planning to come back around that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, the last few days were pretty, desperate. So.
Were you calling your dad up at 5 a.m?
No.
Can I have 200 quid? I will pay you back.
I was very much just like buying loaves of bread and having ham sandwiches, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. At that point, I was like, fine. But just coming back. I'd been living this amazing trip, and I was like, okay, probably need to find a job, but I don't know what I want to do. And I wasn't intending to come back to London because I was associating that with the stress that I was feeling. So I was like, if I'm done with London, don't want to come. I'll go visit and see friends and stuff. But it was like a situation. I just thought of it as a situation. I think London will get me back to that point. For some reason, really, really struggled to find a job anywhere in the north. Looking at Leeds, Manchester, Sheffield, Nottingham. Wasn't even getting a reply to job applications. Then I got a contract job in Manchester with a really cool company. I was working 3 days a week. So that was really nice to sort of get me back into it. And then I had an interview for a company in London, and they weren't super. At the time, I was like, I'll just commute down for a few days and stay in a hotel or whatever, a couple of nights and go back. They weren't okay with that, so then that sort of fell through, and I understand it. And then a few weeks later, I had my interview with British Land, and they were actually willing to let me do that. But once I got the job, I was like, this is a great opportunity, so I am going to move back there.
As I know you move back.
Yeah, can't escape it, as everyone says. You can't escape the furniture life.
No, fair enough. But when you mentioned when you came back, you had to work on yourself. Did you find out that you had to work on yourself because you travelled?
Don't know. That's the answer. Yeah. I don't know if I really started working on myself until I moved down here.
Okay.
And had the new job offer. I was like, I really need to pick up my game now.
Yeah.
Because I think when I was applying for jobs, I again got myself quite close to, that point of stress, because I was, making Excel sheets with 300 different jobs and tracking when I'd last heard from them, and I was just getting a bit obsessive trying to find something. And I just again was not functioning very well, sort of not keeping in touch with friends, and But I think, I don't know when it was, but I think it was around that time when I moved.
Yeah. You've used the word just in this chat, push yourself quite often. You clearly you're pushing yourself a lot.
Yeah, I think I've always done that, and maybe previous bosses will argue that I haven't. But I do really work hard, and I think part of it is because I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
So I do quite a lot of interior design, which was what I wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah.
But I also do a bit of project management, and I quite like that sort of organisational stuff. But I think pushing myself and throwing myself into work was a bit of a coping mechanism for a long time. So wherever, if my problems were with work or outside of work, whatever, I would just throw myself into work.
It was like your outlet. Yeah.
Some people have running, gym, mine was just work.
Yeah. And so what are those outlets now instead of work? Or is it still work?
It's work to an extent, but it's more of a healthy balance now, I would say. I'm making an effort to try and rediscover some hobbies and stuff like that. Can't say I've started any of them. But started going to the gym again, dog walking, spending more time with my friends, just, trying to fill up my weekends with plans and stuff, but also planning weekends where I'm not doing anything and I can just play PlayStation and eat kebabs and stuff like that,
Just
decompressing.
Decompressing. So you get all downtime. It works with anything, doesn't it? I'm just decompressing, everyone. Like, just let me know. I love that word, decompressing. You can decompress between meetings. You can decompress.
It's just my excuse to cancel plans and having a decompressing weekend.
Yeah. And then again, hey, if that's like save something bigger in the future, that's wise, isn't it? It's why you move.
Absolutely, yeah.
You did move down to London even though you didn't want to. What is a boundary that you don't cross now with work because you have crossed that one?
Yeah.
What is is there any boundaries you put in place?
Constant in this story is I'm not very good at sticking to my boundaries. I'm really glad I moved back down because all of my friends are here, my life is here.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying work at the moment, so I'm glad I moved. Boundaries now in terms of working.
To prevent it happening again, I guess.
One really simple one that I do is I leave my laptop and my work phone in the office.
Oh, cool.
In a locker. Because then even if I do want to check an email, I can't. I don't even know if we can go into the office in the evening, but I don't. And just having that complete disconnect. I don't know what it is, but you can sort of switch off easier. You don't, you separate it a little bit more. So for the first few months, I was really good at that side of it, like separating work and life, and just being like, I'm at work to work. Home is when I switch off. There's been a few busy months recently where I have done some evening stuff, but it's been my choice to do it, just to get ahead of stuff and try and do some work when there's not any distractions. But there's not the same deadline pressure as there was when I was working purely in interior design and we were pitching jobs. Slightly different role, which helps.
No, that's good. And if you were to identify signs, I guess you kind of mentioned you could, right at the start, you could maybe see some signs that are kind of coming again. What would they look like?
It's really hard to identify. I think if you're starting to think about work really late at night, it's probably a very early sign. I know it's quite normal. If you feel like, you're feeling stressed over 25% of the time, I would say that's a starting point. Some stress is good, obviously. But if you're feeling like you're struggling to, balance your workload, I think that's a key point. What's another one that's completely escaped me? I'll have to come back to that.
No, that's cool. Some people say that cancelling things with your friends is a bit of an alarm bell if you're cancelling stuff with your mates.
I've always done that because I'm a bit lazy. But it's true, yeah.
I guess there's I can't be bothered. Maybe.
But that can also be an anxiety thing as well. Yeah. So it's hard, like I said, it's very hard to identify burnout on its own. But I guess cancelling plans is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think I get that it hit you really hard at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I do get that kind of picture, and that's very stark. but I think everybody experiences it in a lesser degree.
For sure.
And maybe even less healthy, because if it's running over a long period of time, stress is a killer, right? So it's like aging, like longevity, health, mental fitness, all that type of thing. That's like, I just think there's so much on human race, like it's literally as on people, with demands, clients, even like AI, and sort of the whole like instantaneousness of everything. Just think that we're all experiencing it to some degree, and just need to be very open about it and just communicate what our stories are, because it might not be, I do get it might not be someone else's story, but if we all share our story, it will kind of pick up a bigger picture, right?
Yeah, sure.
So it's interesting, like the things that you identify. And I guess if a designer is like listening to this now, and like lots of what you're saying is resonating, because it's not unusual for people to be doing late nights on a picture next day. I mean, I hear it a lot, even just with sample requests coming in, like, I need this for tomorrow. What's your message to them? What would you say to them? Manage it like you did?
Maybe not. I think it's different for everyone, and I think, well, like you said, it is different for everyone. I hope that something I've said today might resonate with someone. Like, everyone experiences it completely differently. Everyone has their different coping mechanisms. Like I said, some people really enjoy running. I think it's important to be open about it. I think, especially at work, it's really hard to say to your manager, I'm struggling, because you have the pressures of, you don't want to seem like your current job is too much, because then you might not get a promotion or a pay rise or something like that. You don't want to seem like you're letting your team down. It can be embarrassing to talk about, I think, with friends and stuff like that. And I think naturally we sort of compare ourselves to other people, and this person's life's way more stressful than mine, so why am I stressed? And then you start to ignore your own issues, but it's relative to what's going on in your life, isn't it? So
yeah, no, definitely. And I think I'm really glad you touched on that. Like, you look at other people and think, oh, they've got it worse off than me, I should be grateful, because that is a really real thing. And the more common way of looking at it is like, everyone's got a perfect life, like I need to just live up to it, like the whole Instagram, like the thing, like where, their life's amazing, so I need to try and live up to that. But yeah, I do get that other side of it as well. Like, I'm not as bad off as them. You almost feel bad to complain. Yeah. Like complaining.
Yeah.
I do get it.
I think you also have to like find some methods that sort of make your day easier. So I've added a few things to my life that help me. And you touched on it earlier, actually. So AI, I do actually use that for my personal life. And I use it for, I don't know, I need a workout plan for 6 weeks, type into ChatGPT, this is what I want to do with it, and it'll just make me a schedule. Like, yes, that's one thing off my list. Meal planning every week. Like, I've got £20, I want to make 10 meals, high protein or whatever, or if you really like peanut butter, just full of peanut butter. And it just makes me a schedule and gives me a shopping list and stuff like that. So I use it for things that, just to save me time, so I can enjoy other things. I'm trying to think of some other examples that aren't strange.
I love hearing how people use AI. I know it's completely off topic, but I don't know why. I find it really intriguing. Yeah. Everyone uses it really differently.
Yeah, you can sort of tell when people like use it for emails and LinkedIn and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if it's that popular in people's personal lives. I don't know. But yeah, that just doing those things is saving. And I used to be obsessive at writing to-do lists, and I would go through different to-do list platforms and stuff like that. And now I just copy and paste my 100-item long reminders that I've set on my phone into it. I'm like, what's the priorities? What can I push back to next week, etc. And it does sort it out. I mean, you have to change it a little bit, but
I need to know about this.
yeah.
I am this person that has every app and every web platform for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just so scatty, but I really want to be organised. It's like this strange, I'm not that organised person at all, but I really do love it. And so you copy all your Apple tasks or reminders?
Yeah, so I'm really bad for if I'm driving somewhere or if I'm in the evening, I'll just be I'm not going to say, hey Siri, set your phone off.
Oh, yeah.
Set a reminder to do this, set a reminder to do that. And I end up with hundreds. And some of them are just so stupid, or it'd be the same one 3 times because it's registered my voice wrong or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I copy it into ChatGPT and it seems to work out what's important, what can be combined to do at once. If I have, plans on a Saturday, 1:00, but I need to get some stuff done in the morning, I'll be I need to do all these things in the morning. Can you make a schedule for me? And it does. And sometimes I can export that as alerts or put it in my calendar. So I'm I'm on time with my tasks now.
There you go.
Yeah, so I've been using it that way. I'm still trying to work out the best way to use it, but that's helped a lot. And now I can keep my list down to 50.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway?
There's another thing I use for work. I can't remember where I found it out. It's called the 4 Ds. You heard of that?
Yeah.
So it's do, decide, delegate, delete.
Yeah. I actually have, Yeah. Okay, carry on.
Every Friday I'll go through my task list or flagged emails and I'll be what can I do today? What can I decide to do next week? What can I delegate to someone else? And what is just not important? And I can delete it.
Just delete it. Oh, I love that one. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And so every Friday you just block out some time to do that?
I say every Friday. I try to do it every Friday. Sometimes I don't bother, but yeah.
What is another question I've got for you is what is David today at British Land Storey compared to before you went travelling? How are you a different person? What does that look like?
I'm much better at sending nice emails, I think, yeah. My email etiquette went down the drain when I was a bit stressed. So I think I am a bit more grounded, I would say. Maybe more pleasant to work with than I was before. Generally happier. Yeah. Struggled a little bit over winter, but I think that's just weather and darkness and stuff like that. But I would say that I'm better. I don't think I'm fully there. What I didn't realise when I was looking into burnout was how long it can actually last. If you try and go back too soon or do much too soon, some people can experience it for about 2 years from one trigger.
Oh wow! So it's when you get a virus, like a flu, and I always do this. I try and get back in the gym too soon.
Yeah.
And it's where your body actually you feel okay now, but your body still is actually flushing out the virus. Okay, they say that can be up to 2 months. But you think
a bit like that, and
like that in a bigger scale.
Yeah, and I think that's why taking such a long break helped, because I didn't go back too soon. But I do every other month I might have a few days where I'm feeling okay, this is getting a little bit too much. But I will be, respect my time and boundaries and stuff like that a bit more than I used to, and learn to say no to things.
Good. Oh man, healthy boundaries. But I don't know if you actually ever stop learning all this stuff, actually. No. I think life evolves, you evolve as a human, your situation has evolved, you'll have different people coming in and out of your life and all that type of thing. And I don't think you ever I've nailed it. I think it is a continuous thing, right? And
absolutely.
You can't be done.
Yeah, I'm no expert at all. This is just what I've experienced.
But it is a lived experience, which is first-hand, and I get it's for you, it might not be for everyone, but it still is something that has happened, which is great to hear. And I love how honest and open you are about it. I think that's so brave, so strong, so admirable. And I think if everyone was more like that, I think would be a great world that we lived in, right?
Yeah.
So you should be proud of that.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, have you got a book or a podcast that you would recommend people to listen to?
I was thinking about this earlier.
Did you know I was going to ask it?
No, but I was like, what can I don't have a book, but I do have a notebook that I can recommend.
Oh, cool. That you do your journaling in? No,
it's for work. And it's so basic, but it took me ages to find. I think it's by a company called Oh Dear. And 2-page spread. There's to-do list. There's the sort of urgent, not urgent, important square at the bottom. There's a eat the frog task, so what you've been putting off for ages and need to do. And then the other page is just notes and then like a little doodles section.
Oh, I love that.
So I try and do that every morning, my key tasks and stuff like that. And then my notes page for like meetings, and then the next day I'm just, what did I write there? Same thing. That really helps.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, I think. Yeah, but like deer as in animal.
Okay, yeah. Okay, wicked. I'll Google that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, David. I really appreciate you being so open and transparent about that. I think that's I've never had a conversation like that on here, so it was great to hear your story. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.